Yourself, please.
I oh,
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Between Two Owls. I'm your host, Tom Price. Today we have with us Dr. Michael Zdilla from the chemistry department. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
So, where did you grow up?
I grew up not too far from here, so I come from Lancaster County, from southern Lancaster County, the very rural southern tip of Lancaster County, Amish country. So I grew up in a town called Holtwood. It's not really a town so much as a designated area of land. So I mean, it's all farms and forests. So I grew up in a super rural area, just surrounded by cornfields and trees, and sort of had that's the sort of classic American childhood of playing in the stream and climbing trees and all that kinds of stuff. But not too far from here. So we did take a lot of trips into Philadelphia when I was a kid.
And did you have any nicknames growing up?
Nicknames. Well, people tried to apply the nickname Mike to me when I was young, but when I was a fussy little kid, I didn't want to be called Mike. I was Michael. So I don't think I had any nicknames because I wouldn't even tolerate a truncation of my actual name. As I got a little older, I did have some other nicknames in middle school and high school, which I won't recount here.
And do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a younger brother, Dan, who's 4 years younger than me. He's an artist, so he took a sort of different course than I did. I became a scientist. He became an artist and a musician. So he's an art teacher, but he's also a freelance artist who does contract work, and he's also a musician. So he's a performing artist who gigs around Lancaster and has done some gigs in Philly and New York and East Coast areas.
Cool. What would he say about you?
What would he say about me? I think he'd say that in a lot of ways I'm his best bud, and that though we're different in so many ways, and in many other ways we're exactly the same. We have an almost empathic connection and an identical sense of humor, such that we often make the exact same joke at the exact same moment. And I guess that we share the same taste in music. So in so many ways we're the exact same person, but then in other ways we have very different interests and things that we're excited about. So
Cool. And where'd you go for undergrad?
I went to Millersville University, also in Lancaster, Lancaster County, in Millersville, PA, one of the state schools. So I went there intending to do pre-pharmacy, but I liked my general chemistry class so much and my general chemistry professor, who wound up being my research advisor, that I switched my major to chemistry and stayed there the full 4 years.
Cool. And looking back in retrospect, would you give yourself any advice as a entering first year student, knowing what you know now?
Yeah, I would have taken German, and I would have learned more programming and coding.
Cool.
I think those are the things. Those, I don't have a lot of regrets, but two regrets I have are that I don't speak German, because I've had to read and figure out what's going on in so many German chemistry articles from the 50s and earlier, all the way back to like the late I wrote a paper recently where I was trying to read literature from the late 1700s. I kid you not.
Wow.
And I wished I had known German. And then I think coding was not super important when I was an undergraduate, but it became important between then and now. And now it's just like in my everyday work, maybe not every day, but so often I have to do a whole bunch of simple arithmetic calculations, and I tend to do them in Excel, which is a great program. But if I could code, I could really save myself a lot of trouble, and I wished I had taken the time to learn that. And now undergrads know that you can use that, so I would try to work some of that learning in.
And where'd you go for grad school?
I went to Princeton University for grad school. I worked for an assistant professor there named Sunny Lee, who's now at the University of Waterloo in Canada. which is sort of a heavy technology school in Canada, sometimes called the MIT of Canada.
Mhm.
But I studied inorganic chemistry under Sunny at Princeton, where I learned how to do synthesis, inorganic synthesis, and make metal clusters. I learned some synthesis as an undergraduate too, but continued that interest.
And when did you come to Temple?
I came to Temple in 2009. So after I finished grad school, I did a postdoc at Purdue for 4 years,
Hmm.
until I lived in Indiana for 4 years, which was fun. West Lafayette, where Purdue is a really cool area. The town of Lafayette it's a great little town, and I loved living there. But I was lucky enough to be able to come back home, so to speak, very close to where I grew up. So in 2009, I accepted an offer from Temple to come here to be an assistant professor.
What do you like most about your job?
I think the thing that I like most is teaching and mentoring and instructing students, whether it's teaching class or showing students how to do things in the lab. Ironically, perhaps it's the thing that I spend less time doing.
Hmm.
This job entails a lot of writing, a lot of writing grants, writing papers, unfortunately, a lot of email checking, which I feel like I spend most of my time. And teaching is about a third of the job. So it's really the most rewarding part. And then the actual going into the lab and showing students how to do things, which I do less of because my lab has gotten big and they largely teach each other. But those interactions with students are my favorite part of the job, and it's why I got into this work.
Do you have any memorable Temple moments?
Let's see. Memorable Temple moments. Um, I think I'm trying to think about. There's been lots of great moments here, but I'm trying to think about ones that are specifically connected to Temple as an identity. I think that owl statue that was on Leocoris Walk there, they changed about a year ago. It was a sort of minimalist, sort of this
Mhm.
ovular shaped owl. And I used to bring my kids into work with me a lot before the pandemic. And my older son would when he was really little, would look at that owl as we went by and we would talk about it. And then they replaced it with that thing they have now, that much more realistic sculpture, which is nice in its own way, but it's a very different
Mhm.
intent. And so we walked past it, and my son kind of like stopped and double taked and looked at the statue and looked kind of taken aback by it. I was like, yeah, they got a new owl statue, Adam. What do you think about it? And he said, I think he's very serious. I thought that was a tactful description of the change.
Cool. So you've already made this segue for me, but let's shift gears a little bit and talk about your personal life. Do you have a significant other?
I do. I have a wife who I met in college at Millersville, and we don't remember meeting each other. And that sounds less innocent than it is. We don't. It's not that we were inebriated or something. We didn't remember meeting each other just because we apparently had. We know we had a set of mutual friends, and at some point we were hanging around in the same group together every weekend. But we don't actually remember when the first time was that happened.
Mm.
We just kind of always remember, that we were in this we had a mutual friend and two groups of people that occasionally would, we would do things together. So she was an English major and a journalism minor. And then she ended up being a high school teacher while I was a graduate student. And then when I was postdocing at Purdue, she was a graduate student in English education, curriculum and instruction program. So she did her master's there. But since we came back here, she's been at home with the kids, so sort of putting work on hold to raise two kids. And they're getting old enough now where she's starting to itch to go back to work. But right now she's had the monumental task of raising two kids, wonderful kids, but even good kids are a handful.
Sure. What do you appreciate most in your friends?
Humor. I think that's what draws me to people most. I like to laugh, and I like to make people laugh. So I appreciate people who can make me laugh and who laugh when I try to be funny. I think that's the thing that I value most in the close friends that I do have.
What would be the title of your biography?
Boy, what would be the title of my biography? I don't know if you can edit this for time to cut out me all the wondering.
We can pass. You can pass that. You can think about that.
Yeah,
It's fine.
maybe we can come back to it if something occurs to me.
What's your favorite thing to do in Philly?
I think my favorite thing to do in Philly, the answer is easy, but the location is not. My favorite thing to do is to eat. I love food. But where do I like to eat the most? I could not say. I love El Rey. I love the Moshulu. I love Pietro's Pizza on South Street. I love what is that? That Moroccan, is it Moroccan restaurant? Name escapes me for the moment.
No worries.
Yeah, but I love the food in Philly. Philly has a great restaurant. I love Pumpkin at BYO place. There's so many great restaurants, and I love eating. So
cool. We're going to do something called rapid fire response. I'm going to give you 2 words, and you just state your preference.
Oh, okay.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Morning or night?
Night.
Dark or milk chocolate?
Milk chocolate.
Offense or defense?
Offense.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Bert or Ernie?
Ernie.
Half full or half empty?
Half full.
Hot or cold?
Cold.
Awesome.
I'm a bit ambivalent about that.
Thanks so much for being on the show. Really good chat with you.